Good morning, YouTube. What's up, guys? I hope you guys had a great Father's Day weekend. Especially those of you fathers out there that, take care of your kids, take care of your family, stuff like that. I know me personally, my kids gave me the coolest cards, and it was a great weekend for me. Anyway, diving straight into this, Mardu Humans. I'm really excited about this list. I've been waiting to post this video all weekend long because this is a list I came across on the ladder and a couple times actually, and I thought to myself, man, is this really viable? This is pretty solid, especially against my mono green list, my Gruul aggro list. Having another aggro based deck that's just really solid right now in standard. It looked really spicy. It looked like a lot of fun. So we went ahead and put together. I got some reps in with some of my Magic the Gathering teammates from US Army Esports, and we got a bunch of games in using a couple different decks. The one I chose particularly for this video is the matchup against the Cycle list. It was just a really good game of Magic. I did punt a couple times because I just made the list, still kind of learning the do's and don'ts, stuff like that. But I still absolutely think it's worthy of making the video for it. Even the games where I do punt here and there, I feel like it's a great learning opportunity for other people to not make the same mistakes. So anyway, going straight into the list, we have things that are just absolute powerhouses like Knight of Ebon Legion, especially paired with Fervent Champions. If you get a great tier opening hand, maybe 2 Fervent Champions and a Knight, turn 1, turn 2, or you could even turn 1 here, turn 2, and then turn 3 Fervent Champion, and then start getting counters for Knight. Absolutely just savage. You have things like Blacklance Paragon, which can kind of help spot check and surprise things. You could even surprise destroy stuff if you have Fervent Champion on the board, giving something death touch, etc. Dire Tactics, since most of your entire list is all humans, there's really no con for a 2 CMC spot removal exile, so that's just blatantly good, especially against the more meta decks that we're coming across, like Uro, etc. Stormfist Crusader is a little bit of a double-edged sword as far as both you and your opponent get to draw a card. However, with how low in CMC this entire deck is, having that card advantage, it plays more heavily in your favor. Obviously the matchups where it's not super good in that regard is probably mono red, because it also has super cheap creatures, so you're just kind of both emptying your hands and then both drawing cards. So that's something you kind of sideboard in that particular situation. Inspiring Veterans is absolutely savage when it comes to buffing up your other knights and humans and stuff like that. I guess it's just other knights. And then General Kudro being able to also buff your humans as well as do a little bit more interaction. If it goes a little bit more toward the mid game, etc. Let's take a look at the sideboard real quick. We have things like Light of Hope, especially for some of these Wilderness Reclamation decks, or anything that runs enchantments. You're able to destroy it. If you're trying to go over the top, maybe it is a mono red matchup, you can put a 1/1 counter on target creature and gain life, both of which are really solid to go over the top on red. Hushbringer, of course, for those entering the battlefield triggers. This actually works really well against Uro and stuff like that too, because then they're not able to draw their card and put the land out. Well, I think you still put the land out. I'll have to reread Uro. I apologize for that. D-Spark, just another avenue of approach for more spot check, especially if you go against some of those more creature heavy type of decks. Kaya is just absolutely a powerhouse, especially against some of the main meta decks that are being used right now for versus Sultai, Bant, the rec decks, anything that kind of digs in your graveyard, and especially Cycle, in fact, too, because then you're able to deplete their graveyard just by exiling stuff, and it's super cheap to get out, so you can also spot check for the early game. Experimental Frenzy, so you can get a little bit more draw power, especially if you're going against those decks where it'll probably take it to mid to late game. You can kind of get that that gas that you're needing. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right over to the match where you guys can showcase and see the joys that is Mardu Humans. I was really excited about this list. As soon as I got the first couple reps in, I was like, okay, this is fun. I personally have been a lot more excited about some of the aggro based decks that we've been seeing, be it be Jund, Rakdos. My all-time favorite is definitely still mono green. It's just I love that deck. Gruul is actually in a really good place right now. Embercleave is just so solid. So we get Aspiring Veteran out, so that's going to put him at 2-3. Next turn we can even juice him up and plug in for, what is that, 5, 6, 7 points of damage if he were to take it. We're gonna offer the trade. At least we should. Thinking to myself, do I need to shock this in and hurt myself? Tournament grounds should be good if I want to get Kudro out. I'm also kind of contemplating Stormfist, and I'm also kind of thinking about the late game with Smitten Swordmaster being able to get a little bit more value out of him. So obviously the more knights you have out, the more damage he's going to do, and then the more life you gain. We're going to go ahead and offer up the trade here. We're kind of okay with just either one being taken. Inspiring Veteran. I mean, obviously we would rather keep Knight of Ebon Legion out, but taking away his Valiant Rescuer is going to be, you know, kind of superior in that aspect. He's going to go ahead and get his counter since we at least did 4 points of damage to him during that turn. I'm looking at Smitten Swordmaster, kind of hoping for one more black source or a red source. That way I could do Stormfist Crusader and then Smitten Swordmaster and just, what is it? We would do what, 4 points of damage? Then we gain 4 life, and with him being at 9 is just super good. So we don't hit it, but we do hit Fervent Champion, which is pretty solid. I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, I could get Fervent Champion out now. If I were to Stormfist, it's nice for card draw, but against the cycle deck, I'm also trying to keep him at bay as well. I do kind of think I'd see the better value with Stormfist here over Smitten, because then he would also be starting that 1 point of damage engine. It's going to kind of put him more so on the clock, and especially utilizing something like cycle. He's going to be using his mana quite a bit in order to try and fill it with the graveyard and set up for Zenith Flare. We have a plethora of humans on the board, just kind of stabilize and just keep him at bay while he's getting pinged from Stormfist. So I think I see the value more so in Stormfist here as I should have. I'm going to go ahead and swing out anyway, and then also juice up Knight of Ebon Legion if he goes unblocked. And it's up to him at this point. So he is going to try and kill General Kudro. He's going to block out, and this is essentially kind of like a board wipe for us, right, in our favor. And we don't see any type of like board wipes from cycle anyway. I don't think they run main deck shatters, so this is kind of a plus for us, right? We have an open board. I think we still go ahead and do Smitten. I didn't expect him to block like that, so had I cast it on my turn, we would have gotten just a little bit more value. And we're still going to get the point counter from Knight of Ebon Legion, which is nice. So overall, we did have a minor punt there. I didn't expect him to block like that, but had I taken that into consideration, I don't think there would have been any kind of issue with doing the Smitten Storm. Oh, you know what? I think it was because if he left Knight unblocked, but I don't think he would have anyway, because he would have had lethal. So I guess I probably should have done the Smitten first. That 1 extra point of damage in. So I think we bring in Kaya, right? Because then we can get rid of his graveyard, Dire Tactics, so we can spot check some of those flourishing foxes, etc. D-Spark's kind of a dead card. Duress is okay. It's gonna kind of slow down his cycling a little bit, but I don't know if I go with Duress or not. I don't know if it's one of those cards that we're like really like, oh, we need this. Especially considering that we'd have to trim something for it. So I think we take out the Stormfist, because I think against cycle, Stormfist would actually help him out a little bit too much. Obviously it helps us out with draw power, but against a cycle list, I think we lose in that matchup. I brought in Hushbringer. This is one of my big punts, right, guys? I punted because I brought in Hushbringer thinking, for some reason, I don't know what it was at the time, I was like, you know, this'll help stop those flourishing foxes from getting juiced out and stuff, because when he cycles, they're not going to get a counter. Yeah. That's just me not like paying attention or reading the card. It's when they enter or die, that's when it stops those triggers. So Hushbringer's literally not, it's like not stopping anything here. So that was kind of a bad sideboard from me. I think I'm starting to realize that right now. Like I'm sitting there like, oh no, this isn't the card that I want. All right, so looking at my current hand, I think I'm kind of okay with just getting Hushbringer out anyway. Oh no, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I get out Worthy Knights, that way we're starting to generate some 1/1s and start like pushing the wide game, as well as being able to kind of establish blockers too, in case he is able to set up for a Zenith Flare, or excuse me, to prevent him from setting up for a Zenith Flare. So I think we're gonna get Hushbringer out next. At least it's a flyer. I think it has lifelink, so I mean it's not a dead card by any means. It's just the reasoning behind sideboarding it was a mistake. He's going to pressure with Flourishing Fox. We're going to go ahead and take the 2. He's, of course, going to cycle again. Sure. Okay, so do we... I'm thinking to myself, okay, do we do Paragon or Blacklance Paragon and then Smitten Swordmaster? We remove our ability to give something Death Touch and kill something. I guess we could also just set it up, right? Because we assume he's going to swing with Flourishing Fox next turn. So we can always just pass turn, or we could attack with something and we could pass turn. No, we wouldn't attack because we want to block with our Vengeful Knight or whatever it is. Yeah, Venerable. I can't English today, guys. I apologize. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and hold it back. That's gonna be the game plan. We're gonna set up for Smitten Swordmaster. We were gonna cast our Hushbringer, but I think that changes things a little bit as it allows us to interact with Flourishing Fox. Fiend Artisan is gonna be a really good one for us to try and kill too. So a little bit unfortunate that came out. A little bit of a side note there. I just pulled a Fiend Artisan in the Ikoria box I just opened up yesterday for Father's Day. And I'm kind of liking the idea of Fiend Artisan being in mono green. Let me know, guys, in the comments down below what your thoughts are, because I feel like that really one of the big issues we come across with mono green is the you're either hurt on mana or you get over flooded by mana. And I feel like Fiend Artisan provides a cheap cast interaction mid game, so you can start getting more creatures like back out in the battlefield. Maybe shuffle your library, stuff like that. I think it could be an interesting addition post rotation, more so. That's what I'm kind of leaning more towards, post rotation, because at the moment I think it's in a good place. So we're gonna go ahead and get Hushbringer out. I went ahead and held back on the Paragon, by the way, because I think that Fiend Artisan is gonna become a little bit more out of control. So I like the idea of getting rid of that. Both creatures now have lifelink, which is going to be a little bit of a problem. Necrotic Wound, that's going to take out my Worthy Knight. And yeah, this game is starting to have the tables turned against me now. This is becoming a little bit iffy. I think we get, yeah, the Blacklance Paragon out. And I think we take Fiend Artisan. And I forgot, I actually shot myself in the foot with Hushbringer. Oh, the other punt. So I boarded in Hushbringer only to stop my own triggers. Oh, gross. Oh, man. So we're going to go ahead and take the Duresses. I think Duress is okay here. Like, I'm not against this decision. If we do look at his hand and we see stuff like Zenith Flares and we're able to get rid of them early, I mean, it's a pretty solid play. So, as well as also mitigate some of the cycling he's getting and kind of avert that. All right, so this opening hand, we don't have any white source. It's gonna be a little bit rough. We're gonna go ahead and mull again. We're just gonna have to keep here. I think we've been Smitten Swordmaster. And then Paragon. Yep, I think those are the good ones. We want Dire Tactics. Unfortunately, we can't play it, at least not yet. But it's a really good card to have, especially to deal with some of those like Flourishing Foxes, etc., as they get more and more ridiculous. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't have to shot Godless Shrine in because I'm not going to cast anything else. just shy of getting that counter. We'll go ahead and bring in Godless Shrine and have it come in tapped, so that way we're not taking 2 points of unnecessary damage. And we have Dire Tactics online, so we can start exiling stuff. It is instant, and that's what I'm just kind of looking at right there. I believe I offer up the trade first, and then if he accepts and cycles and tries to kill something, then we Dire Tactics in response to. At least that's the correct play now that I'm looking at it. So if I make that play, then it's the correct play. If I don't make it, then I'm making the incorrect play. Don't do it. Don't Dire Tactics yet. Okay, sure. So that was the incorrect play. I'm supposed to attack first, force him to cycle. That's kind of like wasting a cycle iteration, right? Because now he's not wasting a cycle card. I'm juicing up Flourishing Fox before I Dire Tactics. I'm supposed to offer up the trade first, and then when he cycles, I, in response to, take away his Flourishing Fox. And then, in fact, if he doesn't block, then I, in response to, juice up Knight of Ebon Legion and then get a counter, because we would be doing 4 points of damage. So I don't think he would just let the attack go through anyway. But I mean, if he did, we get more counters. If he didn't, then we also get rid of a cycle card. So I don't know. So we did top deck into another Dire Tactics, which is nice. Now am I going to make the correct decision? Maybe. Maybe not. I guess maybe not. This is a learned experience, guys. This is why I wanted to showcase this video over some of the other wins we got with it. Because I absolutely feel like good, like smart decisions are the key to Magic. Whether or not, like, if you get a great hand or a bad hand, if you make the correct decisions, I would say 8 times out of 10 you're going to end up getting those wins. And this is allowing me to address some of the punts and some of the mistakes that I make during these games, and that way you can learn too. Like, hey, I would have done that same thing you did. Thank you for letting us like go over that, and then now I see why that's not the right decision to make. All right, so we're gonna attack. He didn't block, so we're gonna go ahead and juice him. Got him down to 3. Now we have to be cautious. He can get 2 more creatures out, right, before our next attack. If we top deck into a land, that'd be really solid for us. Like an untapped mana. Pretty much of any kind, right? Because then we can cast either one. Oh, I forgot he has lifelink too. So he's going to be able to cycle, block both of our creatures. So Worthy Knight, I think, is going to be the play. Because then we could start applying the go wide tactic, right? And then now we can also just 1-for-1 block that Valiant Rescuer. So we're gonna attack again. We're kind of just okay here. All he really needs to block is just the Knight. Well, no, I guess this is an okay decision, right? Yeah, just the Knight. That way he keeps a 1/1 and kind of stabilizes that board state, because then he can generate another one and then another one during my turn, being able to block 3 total. And if he gets a Flourishing Fox or something like that out as well, he plays out a mana. We could potentially see, I mean, just looking at like worst case scenario for us, we could see 4 more creatures come out, or excuse me, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So I guess the most he could put out is 3, right? Because he can only make one human per turn. Oh, that's a gutsy move. I don't know if attacking here is the right answer. I guess if he has like 2 Flourishing Foxes or something, because he could always just block, right, and gain that 3 life, and also be able to stop some of our engines. Ooh, and he And he cycles a Flourishing Fox. I don't know if that's the right play either, unless he's got, I don't know what he's got in his hand. I forgot. Because since he's offering up this trade, and obviously we're going to accept it, that means he's not generating any more 1/1 humans during my turn. That means he needs to cast out his stuff now. Okay. So that's going to put it for a 2 creatures getting through situation. Or 1 creature. Okay, I see now. I see now. Because now we're looking at, what, 1 point of damage making it through if we were to swing out. And he's up to 6. Okay. Sure. I think it's because he had the necrotic wound, maybe. That's where a big portion of that play is. I think we still swing out, right? I think we still swing out. Because we're okay with Venerable Knight getting hit. I think the right play here is to put it on Venerable Knight. Yeah. Because we can juice out Knight of Ebon Legion, right? If it goes unblocked. Whereas this one kind of forces him to block more things. Sure. Now we're able to clear his side of the board. As well as flash in a Knight, Blacklance Paragon. We're going to go ahead and put the 1/1 counter on Fervent Champion. Since none of our creatures have trample, then spreading out those counters is actually pretty optimal in this particular situation. Because if we just juice out 1 creature, and that 1 creature could just get jump blocked all the time, so you kind of want to space those out a bit. All right, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, do I cast out Paragon now and have another creature? I don't think that's the move, because if I swing out, I don't do lethal, right? Ebon Legion's good here. You can go ahead and play him out. If we get +3/+3, that becomes a 5/8. I think we're supposed to, yeah, here we go. I was about to say, I think we're supposed to attack here. And this is how we're attempting to get rid of that Fiend Artisan, right? Because we assume he's going to block the Fervent Champion with Fiend Artisan. So we're going to go ahead and put our Blacklance Paragon out now. So that way we're able to give the first strike creature Death Touch. And then that way he can survive. Both of our creatures survive at this point. And then we're able to clear his side of the battlefield. And we're going to get this other Knight out. We're able to try and go wide again. He's put an absolute fight right now. Absolute. The top decks that our opponent is getting here is just fantastic. This is another reason why I wanted to showcase this matchup, is because, like, the worst case scenario for us is for him to continue to draw into gas, especially since we're also, like, clearly, you know, just like playing off the top of our library. So here's the most important part. We have lethal, right? We just have to make the correct decision here. I could juice up either one of the Knights to do 4 points of damage. We know 1 creature is going to make it through at least. One of the creatures that can get 4 or up to 4 points. So we chose Paragon, so that way he goes to 4/1. And then we have 3 creatures available that could do 4 points of damage. And then we got our victory. All right, guys. I really, truly appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your day to watch my video and experience this deck with me. It's so much fun. I absolutely recommend running it best of 3, even best of 1. It's really, really good. Anyway, appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you haven't already, please make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button so you can continue to see my deck of the week series that I'm putting together, this being episode number 2. I'm super excited about it, and I'll see you again next Monday.